Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to the Rolling Cup podcast. We are on episode 21. I am your host, the amazing Sniper Beef. I'm joined alongside by my co host today.
Hi guys, Devastate here and welcome back to another episode. Hopefully everyone's having a good time. Hopefully everyone enjoyed last week's episode. It came out a little bit later than intended. Unfortunately, there was a problem and I had a power cut and we lost the recording, but I managed to fix it all, get it all up, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. But this week, you'll notice we're not joined by one, but by two special guests. The first one of them being is Vedak.
Welcome, and we're also joined by
Masanevre.
Masanevre.
Welcome, everyone.
How is everyone today? How are we all doing? How was the weekend?
Yep, Masanevre and I went to a friend's house and played some ball games last night, didn't we?
Good
Oh
indeed.
yeah, I did get an invite to that, but I was busy. I couldn't go to that one. I was about to say I didn't get an invite to that, no, but I did. Anyway, for those of you who aren't au fait and listening and watching, who aren't au fait with what the Link Up is, let me give you a quick rundown. So the Link Up is a group of gamers. So you've got the four of us here, and there's about 10 others. We have been gaming for 26 years. So 26 years, we have taken our PCs, our desks, and our chairs round to one of our houses, hooked them up to a LAN, and played PC games and ordered pizza for an entire week every year. And this year we decided to branch out and start to do a podcast to talk about everything gaming, also the Link Up as well, and to be honest, anything that takes our fancy. So yes, we've been doing the Link Up for 26 years. It's absolutely fantastic, and we all love it. Now, on the podcast, as I said, we touch on everything gaming. So without further ado, I can't even think what I'm trying to say there. Let's kick off with a couple of news articles. So PS4 has had a firmware update, and it now includes ads on the desktop. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about having ads on the desktop, particularly when you're going to get, should we say, younger folk who are very impressionable from an advertising perspective. Obviously, we don't know what's going to be on the ads. I see there's quite a lot of news articles on the ads, but I don't see anything particularly harmful. But let's just hope it doesn't go that way. Go that way even. What's everyone else's opinion?
Well,
I think it's there to subsidise the PS Pro.
PS5 Pro sales. Yeah.
No, it's actually
Vedak, we're getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit on the third news article, but yes, it could be. Devastate.
It's ultimately to subsidise Concord. They've got to make their money back somehow. But no,
That's
honestly,
a lot of ads.
Yeah, but look, honestly, we have ads in everything. We have ads in YouTube and on all of the platforms. People who listen to Spotify have ads if they're not paying for it. Same as YouTube. You watch TV, you have ads. I think it was just a matter of time to find the next thing that you could stick an advert. Look, at the end of the day, my only concern would be the tracking of those ads if it was a younger audience. So I think that creating like the account that you create, I believe you can say whether it's under or over 13. I believe on a PS5.
Start targeting toy adverts. That's rude.
Yeah. But I think they will do. I think it's a way of targeting games. It's targeting a whole multitude of things. So look, we're about to hit Christmas season, and we're on the run up. It could be an incredibly lucrative market for PlayStation. I understand exactly why it exists, why they're doing it. I'm a bit skeptical as why it's taking them so long. Because for me, it just sounds like if I'm in the PlayStation or Sony executive studios and going, where have we got real estate that we can monetize?
Yeah,
it makes sense from a business standpoint. Morally, yeah. Do you need to? You've sold someone a console, but I don't know. We'll wait and see what the ads come out. Masanevre, any thoughts on it?
I'm assuming that it'll start being sort of tailored, bespoke to what ads you start clicking on, or what games you're playing, what you're listening to. Maybe if you're using it to listen to music or whatever you're doing on your PlayStation. So I suppose, as
Yeah.
you said, it was almost inevitable. I mean, any way you find advertising space, then you're gonna use it, aren't you? So
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say is if it is just a video ad or a flat ad, not like the way that we deal with the web, that you see a display ad that you can click on it and go to a website and purchase, or you can do one or two things, whether it's just within the confines of the platform. So it might be that they just use it to advertise games on the PlayStation Store or something like that, in which case I'm definitely fine with it. Like, but I think that if you click, like somehow you bring your controller cursor over and you click on it, you highlight it, what that journey ends up looking like could be quite.
Yeah, what's the experience?
Yeah. And then how do they protect against it? So what's to stop someone running a scam ad on there? So like, click on this to get 53 V-Bucks for Fortnite, and it takes them into a journey that it could be a complete scam, because it depends who's running that advertising network. I guarantee Sony's not going to run the advertising network. It'll probably be Google Display Network, would be my gut feeling. Yeah, we'll wait and see. I think that's something to circle back around in a few months when that actually launches and actually see anything that's actually happened in that space.
Yes.
I found an interesting story about advertising the other day, and it actually blew my mind. So before sort of 1900, Christmas wasn't really a big thing in the United States. So Easter was much more of a celebrated holiday.
Sorry, did you say 1900?
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking. It's advertising though. So going forward a few years.
Was that your 50th
yes,
birthday?
I was still around at that point. Yeah. Does anyone want to think about, Santa Claus and what he looks like, and what do you think he looked like before 1900?
I reckon
he definitely wasn't a fat jolly man with hair and white beard.
No, I wonder whether it was
not.
something trying to think about 1900s.
So Coca-Cola, who had just dropped cocaine out of their product, realised that people weren't drinking it at certain times of year, Christmas being the main one. So they thought, how do they boost sales? So they actually came up with the modern day Santa Claus and what he looks like, big jolly man, white beard, to match the colours of their products.
Holidays are coming. Holidays are coming.
I mean, they still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Hence the Christmas adverts. But they, the modern day Santa Claus is down to Coca-Cola's advertising. What the hell?
You'll be well. There's as I work in advertising. Beefy used to work in advertising. Still does a little bit today, but yeah, your mind will be blown if I went down an advertising and branding and all of that route with you. Like,
I mean, but they've manipulated the image of Santa Claus for millions and billions of people now on the planet.
Yeah, it's
that's what we think of.
But it's brand association, and it becomes a norm. You take a Hoover. A Hoover isn't a Hoover. A Hoover's a vacuum cleaner. You call it a Hoover because of the brand Hoover, and they marketed it as buying a Hoover. And that ran for so long that hoovering became a term. You got Google. People now say, go and Google it. Just Google the answer to it. Like, because people are, the product's name becomes a verb.
Yahoo, do you?
Yeah. But the actual product serves name becomes a verb.
I'm just going to Lycos it.
Yeah. You'd have no friends if you said you were going to go and bing it, would you?
I'm going to Alta Vista it.
Yeah. But yeah, just in the advertising world of that's, when you've made it. That when your brand becomes a verb.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, Devastate. Let's talk about the PS5 30th anniversary edition, because I know you were with Ace at the weekend, and you were because I think Ace has ordered it, or has he got it? One of the two.
Yeah, so you had to jump online. There was a massive pre-order queue, massive outrage online. So people were queuing for an hour online. So there was It's modelled after the original PlayStation.
Oh, what, the grey one?
Yes, the light grey one from back in the day.
Oh wow!
So
Cool.
it looks awesome. I mean, essentially, it's
What's
just.
the price point? What's the price point?
I think it's the same price.
Okay, that's reasonable.
But essentially, all they've done is just change the plating on the sides.
Yeah.
And so they've. So there's a big pre-order. You had to go online, waiting queue. People, you could enter in. You got to the end, and then you could see what was left available. It was almost like the bloody Ticketmaster site. You know, you queue up for ages and then can't get anything. But people got to the end and it booted them out, started again. But Ace managed to get hold of the PlayStation 5 30th Anniversary Edition. So hopefully, when that arrives, we'll have him on the podcast showing what the unit looks like. Because it does, the pictures, they look good. I will give Sony their due. Like, now, it is just a shell. Nothing fundamentally has changed with the product, but it looks cool. For those people who were around when the original PlayStation came out.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the hilarious thing for me, and this is obviously our next topic to discuss, is that there was an hour's wait to get the PS5 30th Anniversary Edition. Yet the PS5 Pro sales, which is obviously it launches in 37 days time, the PS5 Pro just in time for Christmas, they haven't sold out yet.
No.
I mean, that is hilarious. And also, like, I mean, why would you launch a 30th Anniversary Edition 1 month before your PS5 Pro's coming out?
Because it hasn't sold out, so they thought we'd put some plates on the side of it. Because I think it's panic. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they're a shareholder meeting that's happening with losses and issues that they are suffering as a company. I think we touched on last week that Nintendo are going after Power World. For copyright infringement. There's been some talk along that PlayStation's big title, Astro Boy, which is a phenomenal success, copies a lot of game mechanics from a lot of the Super Mario games. So Super Mario Galaxy, Luigi's Adventures, there's a few, and there's Sony. Oh, I think in big trouble. I think they've got so much stuff in the pipeline that they can't make stick. Their games aren't selling. The third-party games always continue to sell. The big games, the big franchise games, your Call of Duties, your EAFCs, FIFAs, your big 2K games are always going to do numbers.
So, I don't know if but EverQuest the new EverQuest has just been announced, hasn't it? But I don't know if that was originally obviously Sony Entertainment. I wonder if that's Sony. We're going to be behind that. I wonder the publisher behind that. Obviously not the studio behind it, but that's quite a big deal because that's EverQuest returning for the first time since.
I'll have a look. EverQuest.
Yeah, the
new what type of game? What type of game is EverQuest? I've heard of it.
It's like the original MMO. It was like before Star Wars Galaxies. I think it was probably Ultima Online was first, and then EverQuest was second. I might be wrong, but
EverQuest is 3D, isn't it? It was late 90s, I think.
Yeah, and I think RuneScape was probably not far off that time.
Yeah, RuneScape was I want to say late 90s, around the turn of the millennium.
EverQuest was big. I mean, Lumpy played it, didn't it? It was a big EverQuest.
But yeah, I do think I don't want to say Sony are in trouble.
Interestingly, Sony sold it to a private equity firm that was renamed Daybreak Game Company back in 2015. But I've not got any. That's all I've sort of got in terms of what's coming out. But it's interesting.
Literally, I mean, there's no trailers or footage. They just said they're announcing that they're putting the teams together to be able to make it. So it's a way off. But
one game that got announced this week, just on we're talking about games. This is on PlayStation, but it's also going to be on Xbox is the new Metal Gear Solid.
Hmm?
Delta Snake Eater actually looks really good.
PlayStation exclusive before.
It used to be PlayStation exclusive. That was back when PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, it was a PlayStation exclusive. But obviously then it made its way to PC and Xbox. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater does look really good. It seems like a bit of a throwback style, not like the newer ones. But that's...
I was going to say, talking of games, did you see that GTA 5 topped the games charts in August?
Yeah.
GTA 5. I mean, it's been out for like an eternity.
That
And
must
it's
have been a
just
pretty good expansion because they keep releasing the free expansions, don't they, to the
Yeah.
game? Where, I mean, the last one I played, it was a while back, was the one where you had that massive truck where you could put miniguns all over it. That was all.
yeah.
Well, I think
But,
the
I mean-
success of that game ultimately came with GTA roleplay in that game mode. So you obviously do all the private stuff, but then you can actually go and do the roleplay, and you'd be one person.
Oh, I've seen some of that on YouTube where the guy plays a hitman and just goes around.
But you have other people. You can be a drug dealer. You can be all of these people, and you're in this one massive private community, and that's I think the reason why it's kept on going so long.
2013 that game came. 2013.
Yeah.
A decade of But I think that'll be. We're just praying that it comes out before July next year.
But it looks like it could be delayed to 2026
You're such a
potentially.
negative person, aren't you, Masanevre? You're just a negative. We don't need the negativity on the podcast.
Really,
We need
have they given any reason for that, Mass?
That was the article I just saw the headline last week. But I'm not sure what the reason was.
2026. We don't want that.
Let's have a look.
Because then you could be getting onto it. Like if it launches 2026, you'd be getting on towards the PS6 and the new Xbox. Then in that case, aren't you? It's not going to be too far off those.
Mm.
You think about if, say, for example, this game goes for another 10 years, what the heck does Grand Theft Auto 7 look like? And
Well,
what the heck
VR.
will we
It'll be VR.
What the heck will we be playing? I mean, that's just off the...
100% it'll be VR. Because like you saw the do you see it midweek what Zuckerberg announced the AR, was it the AR glasses?
Yeah,
Like and they didn't look incredible in terms of the actual what they just look like on your face, but in terms of the capability of it, yeah, it's incredible. And then to your point, Vedak, like in 10 years, like that will be a norm.
Mm.
And like you won't see the headsets of like the HTC Vive, etc. They'll be far smaller, and you'll be able to do GTA 7 in first person, and then your Masanevre, obviously this will be close to your heart. Second Life will then come to fruition, won't it? And you'll be living in GTA 7, and then building your empire, etc.
So
that
just
would be
coming
back to New York, I would have thought.
So just coming back to GTA 6, then it suggests here from an article from the Metro, the top insiders refuse to rule out GTA 6 delay till 2026.
That's definitely got to come first half. Then is it next year?
I think it was always due for an October-November release anyway next year. That was my understanding originally. It was
So it's going to be a 28th Royal Link Up game.
Yeah.
At the earliest, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. PS5 Pro sales have flopped. Obviously, Did we touch on that? Have we done that one already?
No, I think I just digged at it because I.
Yeah, you just digged at it. Yeah, the PS5 sales have flopped. You can still go onto the PS5 Pro website and order them today. They're not. They're completely available. They haven't sold out. Is anyone surprised?
Is it the price point and people are just happy with their PS5 that they just don't feel the need to upgrade, or they just?
I think it's a number of different things. There's not an overarching increase in performance to justify the price point. I think the fact that there's no disc drive and you have to pay 110 quid to get the disc drive. So if you've got a PS5 or a PS4 and you've got all of your discs and you've got obviously like you used to have Masanevre, etc., and you've got your massive pile of games, if you want to play them, you've got to go and buy a disc drive separately for it, and it's going to cost you another 110 quid. So not only the price point is absolutely absurd, you've then got to fork out just to play it on that as well. And
hardly any games will support it.
Yeah.
So the base price is 700. Sorry.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 699.
A lot of money. Where's the actual article that I was looking at? Where are we? PS5 Pro. Yeah. $700 price tag. Yeah, you can literally go and you can go and pre-order it now. And it's completely available, which is genuinely hilarious.
Yeah, because 4 years ago that wasn't the situation with the PlayStation 5. I mean, you couldn't get
scalpers, wasn't it? It was
couldn't
like
get it for toffees, and even people were struggling several months later to get hold of one.
Oh yeah, because everyone was scalping it. You had all the bots just picking them up, and then people reselling them on Facebook Marketplace and eBay, etc., for sometimes double the price, weren't they? I remember them going for silly money.
What I just want to do is just quickly, there was one thing that we didn't put in the notes I wanted to also talk about.
Yeah.
When we talk about releases, the specs have been leaked for the 5090, for the RTX 5090. And I've got some of the specs for the 5080 as well. So there's a prominent leaker called Video Cards with a Z, who's never been wrong on a video card launch. So the RTX 4090, 5090, it's CUDA core count. So the 4090 is 16,000, the 5090 is 24,000, which is wild. Its ray tracing cores have gone up from 128 to 192. Its boost clock has had a 25% upgrade, and its memory bandwidth's gone from a 1 gig a second to 1.5 gigs a second. So it's basically
it's 50% increase on everything.
Apart from the CUDAs, the CUDAs have gone up about 30%. But this is, if these are to be believed, because these are leaks, these are massive numbers. This is like power, but they
PCs to run them.
They have basically said that the graphics power, just the graphics card, is going to be requiring 600 watts.
Yeah, nuts. 600.
You've got to bear in mind that people have multitude of powered USB devices, multitude of like fans.
You're gonna need a 1200 watt. I would say is a minimum there, absolute minimum.
Yeah.
Does it give you dimensions? How long it is?
It's going to be like that, isn't it? Surely it's going to
be about the same. It'll be about the same time.
You won't get it into a mini ATX case, would you? You're going to.
Oh god, no.
Chance, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Although I did see something completely randomly. Someone built a top of the range PC recently with a 4090, and they put it into a toaster. No joke. So it was literally like that big. And they had to like literally weld it all themselves, and it was all water cooled, and it looked absolutely stunning. But it was a silly price. It was like £11,000 or something. But I was like,
I saw one that looked like a trainer. Somebody made it in a trainer, and it was obviously a big trainer, but it looked perfect, absolutely perfect. But it's a PC, like this big trainer.
I mean, what do we think the price point is going to be on that? Near 30 to 50% increase in power. Currently, it's $2,000 for a 4090.
I reckon it won't go up too much. I reckon 2.2. No,
2.5.
No. 2.5. 2.5.
But bear in mind with inflation.
Yeah, it'll be some point. Yeah, sometime around Easter next year, I would think. It's usually time frame, isn't it?
They have announced them in the end of October previously for a January February release, and it was only about 4 years ago that they changed that release schedule. So we might actually see it come out, and the fact that we've got real certified. A
man called Adrian will have one for the Linnk, won't he?
Yeah. I will just quickly touch on the final bit of the spec. It will have 32 gig of GDDR7 memory, which is incredible. I'll just quickly,
People are running full-on gaming PCs with less than 32 gig of RAM.
yeah, and bear in mind this is GDR7.
Yeah,
We haven't far. It's been what 2 years since we've gone to GDR5 on our PC, so that like the performance is well. I'll quickly
sorry,
touch on
mask on.
No, say I could get a 5090 then, or I could get 3 PS5 Pros with 3 disk drives and still have £100 spare. Yeah.
yeah. I'll quickly just touch on the 5080. It will be 10,000 CUDA cores, 16 gig of GDR7, 256 memory bus. That's expected a power of 400. Interestingly enough, the 4080 power was 320 watts, so that is like upped.
So yeah, 1,000 will probably do that. I mean, I use 1,000 to run mine, but I've only got a 38 Ti on.
Sorry, carry on, Matt.
Is the 5090 touting that it will be able to do 8K, and what sort of frames a second would it be able to give you?
No, it's basically saying that this is. I mean, it will do. It will be able to do 8K, 100%. The problem is that most people haven't got 8K displays, and there's no 8K content.
Nope.
They've claimed late 24, early 25 release, and then the other interesting is then what happens with the TI or the super variants that they'll ultimately push down the line.
Yeah, because you think probably the 5080 is going to, if let's say the 5090 is $2,500, the 5080 is going to be 1750.
That will probably be 24 gig because that seems to be the standard, doesn't it? When there's that dip, it goes to
16.
Yeah.
It's 16. It says here 16 gig of GDR7. Which 16 gig is absolutely fine unless you're doing professional render like 3D rendering.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you'll be able to get out of this will be insane.
Yeah,
so pop down to IBM and get yourself a quantum computer. See what I can do.
Well, how much?
Yeah.
So how much is an 8K gaming monitor going to cost you though? Because I'm just looking. There's like.
Yeah, but there's no content for it, Mass. Like there's no single game on the planet which is in 8K on any platform. Like, and there's no, I haven't seen anything on the horizon that says, "Oh, we're going to be launching this in 8K." Look, I mean, how much like film or video content is there in 8K, which is actually?
I will say one thing:
nothing.
it will probably be powerful enough to run Arc 2 when it comes out because it will be so badly coded.
So the question is,
True, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It might be. It might not though. It might not. It might not be enough.
The interesting thing it could come down to though will be not necessarily 8K gaming, but when you've got VR that you can run 2 4K displays,
and then we can just we can do GTA 6 in VR in 8K. I mean, literally, we'll just never leave.
Job done.
Yeah, we'll just never leave the link up. We'll run a second life in GTA 6. I mean,
start Monopoly in your Star Atlas.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. Moving on.
8K Cyberpunk that runs in 8K.
Really
interesting.
Yes.
I think it's 30 frames per second. I think you can get it to.
So yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk in 4K looks absolutely fantastic. Fantastic.
So Forza Horizon Gears 5.
Gears War 5.
Yeah, it's not on PC though, but it's saying here on this article, 8 games to take advantage of your 8K screen you can play right now.
Yeah, but no, yeah. I mean, it will look good, but it's not in 8K resolution, is it? Anyway, moving on.
How much is an 8K monitor?
Well, my 4K monitor was 1100.
The one I'm looking at is about 1,200. The LG 45. It's got an 800 R rated curve, which is quite interesting. That's quite a tight. It should be quite Nice.
But yeah, I mean, like price point on an 8K monitor, you got to be looking at.
That's only quad though, but it's OLED.
Yeah, you got to be looking at what, maybe £3,000 for an 8K monitor.
The Dell Ultra Sharp 32-inch. That's an 8K monitor. Is £3,700.
Bargain. I mean, which might as well have dual.
Just coming back to games, there is one game here. This is Starfield. That's an 8K
Starfield,
game.
yes. Yeah.
What a load of rubbish.
But that's had the big that they patched it, and apparently it's quite
big
enjoyable.
update. Yeah.
But again, it's the same people on that new game that looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
They have coming out with the same publishers.
Moving on to the next point. Russia is apparently banning Discord. Discord in Russia is very, very big, 30 to 40 million users. And apparently Putin is going to say, sorry, see you later. I mean, like, I remember when like we all used to game on Skype. Do you remember when we used to game on Skype? Like back in the day, and then Discord came out, and then we were like, TeamSpeak. Yeah, TeamSpeak were even further back in the day.
Press the button to speak.
Yeah. And then Discord came out, and you were like, "What's Discord?" And then you started seeing the power of it, and you're like, "I mean, I can't see why you would use anything else except Discord now. There's no scenario where I'm using Teams or Slack, for example. From a gaming perspective, it's Discord, isn't it?"
I do think with Discord, why game companies or haven't integrated Discord better.
Yeah, because Microsoft are trying to integrate it into the desktop, aren't they? Or I think they have, haven't they? They've integrated Discord into the Xbox dashboard. I remember seeing an article about it because obviously Microsoft own Discord. Yeah, they do own Discord, don't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But I remember them talking about integrating Discord into the dashboard, and I was like, that from a gaming perspective, that's fantastic because then I don't have to go separate application. Particularly from if obviously. When you're doing gaming on a console, if you got Discord integrated into it, I mean it's fantastic because then you can go you just got all your friends there, jump in a room as we are now, etc. But then on PC, like there's no scenario where we're not going to be on. If us four are playing a game of Sins, for example, there's no scenario where we're going on anything but Discord, is there?
No, and I think that it's easy for PC users if you've got friends on PlayStation, someone's got an Xbox. There's not an organic communication method between the two, and that's a shame. I think it'd be good to see
D&D through it, virtual board games, PC games, and there must be people that use it for work. And in fact, some of the big board games and when we used to play Sea of Thieves, Devastate used to go onto community boards and see stuff that was going on. So much information there.
Yeah, because it's not just a communication tool, isn't it? It's also it's almost like, do you remember like the forums back in the day, isn't it? To a certain degree, isn't it? So it's a great information resource at the same time. But yeah, we'll see what Putin says. Standard. Moving on. Vedek's favorite game, Star Wars Outlaws.
It's just Ubisoft. I just love this in Ubisoft. Do you know all their workers are planning to go on strike in October because they've been told they have to go back to work in their offices again?
I mean, isn't that the world? Isn't that the world anyway? Like if you've got a 9-to-5 job and you go and your employer says you've got to go back to the office 5 days a week, like who's going to go? Yes, I can't wait for it. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws has got a new roadmap because obviously we discussed in I think last week's podcast or the week before how essentially it just is fallen off a cliff. Star Wars Outlaws, there's just nothing. It looked nice, but no real substance. I think you said, Vedak, wasn't it? No real substance to it. They've got They've announced a new roadmap to sort of encourage users back to the game or potentially
press play.
Yeah, to turn it on.
Wait.
Hang on, let me bring the article
I hate
up.
Ubisoft.
So there's a title update on October the 3rd with key focus on bug fixes and improvements. Then October 24th, quality of life improvements. Then there's a Steam release Story Pack 1 in November, and then there's a combat and stealth improvements and free additional contracts for new content. So obviously they essentially what they're saying there is, we've heard your feedback, we understand you're moaning, and we're going to address it, and then hopefully it's going to alleviate a lot of everyone's gripes with the game, as essentially as it would be. But yeah, I think the jury's out on that one to a certain degree, isn't it, Vedak?
Yeah, or they could have just released it to start with without hiding behind paywalls and having a version of the game that costs 120 quid and all the other stuff that Ubisoft do to rob
But haven't
people.
aren't you pre-ordering a game which costs 120 quid?
Yeah, but the difference is it gives me future expansions for free. I don't have
Yep,
to go and fork out
but
a bit later.
but you're never going to complete a game of Civ 7. It's just you're never going to complete one.
Maybe not at Linnk, but
No. Mass, do you recall a time that we've ever completed a game of Civilization, any Civilization, at the Link Up? Completed it all the way to the end?
No, I don't believe so.
No. 26 years of gaming, and we've never completed a game of Civilization.
But you can play in ages now, so you can just play 1A and play that A through, in which case you will finish it in a day. Less than a day, probably about 6 hours.
Oh, in a day.
How long have we've had Sins games that have lasted like 6-7 hours though?
Oh, and the rest. Like I remember like back in the day, we would start a game of Sins at like sort of 10, 11 o'clock, and we're still going at 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. And there's 5 or 6 of us left, and like, everyone's like, "Are you still playing? It's the same game." Yeah, we're still playing. Yes. Mass, Suzerain, talk to me.
So, yeah, at the moment I've been playing Suzerain, so it certainly doesn't need a 5090. It is a political game, but a graphic novel. It's basically you've kind of been elected to office as president to a fictional country called Suzerain. The country itself is just sort of coming out of a recession, and before that was in sort of a civil war. There was high levels of corruption. Game's very sort of high focus sort of negotiation. It's very strong storytelling. That's where it's very much at, and you're very much at the heart of that story. You can make changes to the constitution. You change the direction of different policy, economic policy, how much you're going to divert to things like defense or education. You can go down to different parts of the country and engage with and negotiate with people. Suzerain.
So what does it look like? Is it first person?
No, so it's
platform?
More like it's more graphic novel. Most of it is just words and a map for a large part, and then you go to different points on the map, and then you'll engage with different people within who are outside your party or sort of external sort of people who are working within the sort of energy company, for instance, and then you'll also have people from your own party and people within your own cabinet who sort of join you for those meetings. And as you progress through the conversation, it gives you a selection of different choices as to what to say back to someone, and that can then determine how the trajectory of the conversation, but also the future of what happens within the country and the policies that you make.
How are you spelling this?
Suzerain.
Oh, okay, right, there we go. Oh, yeah, it's 9 out of 10 on Steam. Wow.
So it has the decisions you make and the direction, the choices you make as per the conversations, it can affects your standing. And it can lead to war. It can even lead to a world war as well, world war conflict. So yeah, but the storytelling is very
right
strong.
Up. Yeah, this is right up your street, isn't it? Right up your street. Wow, it's got 7,000 very positive reviews. Wow, and I've never heard of it.
So you can play. It's about 4 years old now.
Yeah, 2020.
And the direction who you can play it, you can you could throw it, you could literally just wing it, and you could be turn into, I suppose, or try to become a dictator almost. Because or you could call for reforms. I mean, for instance, I've called for reforms, and I'm having it so that I can only stay in for like 2 terms. So very much like the US presidency. So I can't stay on forever.
Is it a winning game
Takes it for
for you
life.
then?
Get in there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The other day, we were at a town that it's quite poor, and the workers were quite distressed, and they came out protesting, and I was advised to evacuate the building by helicopter, but I decided to go up and face the crowds, and managed to engage with them, and everything was all right. So I was, because they advised me to run away in the helicopter, but I didn't. I spoke to the crowds and then left in the car. So, but there was, at the start, I wasn't the target, but we went to the inauguration ball once I actually gained presidency. There was an assassination on someone, so then you have to go to the funeral, and then you have to pick the choices that you make about what you're going to say during the funeral. When you stand up to make a speech, do you just carry on speaking, and then you'll have an advisor say, look, we think you've probably said enough now, just step down. So there's always someone there to sort of to guide you as well, but there's also, if you're in a negotiation table, you'll have one person give their point, another person giving their point, and then you've got to decide which direction you want to go in terms of which direction you want to take your policy that you're engaging with.
That is a very, very odd game. Very odd. I don't think I've ever heard of a game like that. Very odd. Very odd.
Yeah, there isn't. There are other political games, but they don't have that story-driven aspect. I think there was another game called Democracy, but it doesn't have the individual characters where you're engaging or negotiating with them. This is very strong story-based, very strong characters.
A single player. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, single player.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long does the game take then, mate? Is it a quick game, long game?
No, I mean I've done about 6 or 7 hours. I'm not sure what the average game time is, because I suppose it depends on the decisions that you make, because you could end up ending the game quite quickly if you supposedly, if you appease everybody, they can start working against you and they'll oust you. They'll basically get you up on. Somebody said that they befriended literally everybody in the game to try and make everyone happy, but it backfired, and they had people within their own party who essentially got rid of you. They ousted you from power, and they actually put you in jail. So it's very difficult. It really depends on the decisions that you make will determine how long the game is.
Interesting. Well, another game, Vedak, Space Marine 2.
Yeah, I just bought it. I haven't played it yet, though. I'm looking forward to playing that later. My brother Dustal and Enforcer have been playing it, and there's a couple of other people.
Yeah, that's number 3 on the top-selling Steam games at the moment. So yeah, that's probably.
Watch videos on YouTube. It looks pretty epic.
I don't think. I think I'm. I don't. I mean, I know I've got a Warhammer game on my Steam library, but I don't ever recall playing it. Particularly, have we played one at a Link Up Mass?
Gladius.
Yeah, that's the RTS game.
Yeah.
Yeah, plays like kind of is it not like a Civ style, is it, in a way, turn-based?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably the closest. And then there was another game, Battle Sector, which plays like more of the tabletop.
I think at a Link Up we have played the RTS style Warhammer game though before.
That's Gladius. Gladius.
No,
Warhammer.
The RTS one. It's Warhammer.
Oh, Dawn of War.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, Dawn of War. That's
Dawn of War. Dawn of War. I think because that had loads of expansions. The first one was really good. The second one was alright. Third one was not as good, and I think the third one killed the franchise.
Felt a bit more closer to a StarCraft, I would say. That's what I got, if I recollect.
Ish. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was alright. I thought it was alright when we played it. I mean, it was many years ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe
5-10.
Or Was it a bit like a Company of Heroes at all as well?
Not
Company
that I
Heroes.
can.
There was a mode in Company Heroes where you had to defend a town, and there was just wave after wave coming at you. That was fantastic.
Don't recall that. Any other news articles from anyone?
I'll just jump on one thing very quickly. That there is a game launching on the 1st of October. So
Tomorrow.
that is tomorrow from when we're recording this, but when you see it, it may have already come out. It's called Throne and Liberty, which is a new massive MMORPG launching on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation. It does look really nice. It's fantasy based, but it does look a very pretty game. And from
What's it called? Devastate?
How has it got mixed reviews and it's not even out yet?
So there's obviously proper early access. So
it's not gone well then.
Well, so it's been out since the 26th. So it's been out a few days from early access. It's getting about 50-ish thousand.
Throne and Liberty, you say?
Throne and Liberty. It's getting about 50,000 players a day, roughly.
Is it free?
Yeah. But you know what happens if it's a free game, then it'll be
Pay to win.
there'll be a pay to some element. But it's PvE, PvPvE, and
Amazon Games. So they've already got one out though, because they got Is it New World? That's an Amazon game as well, isn't it? So they've released another one. That's interesting. 2 MMOs. If they release another 10, they might get as much as World of Warcraft's making.
Yeah, I mean, World of Warcraft continues to do incredibly well, even to this day.
What was that game that Rage has been playing?
New World.
That looks similar to Throne and Liberty in terms of the kind of.
It's the same. I don't know if it's the same publisher, developer, but it's definitely the same publisher.
Yeah,
it's not the same developer. So this new game
it looks very similar.
I thought New World looked very much like Conan actually when I saw it.
What, the Conan Exiles?
The one we played back in 2008. Was it that
God.
one?
That well-known year, 2008.
Oh my goodness!
Do you know that 16 years ago?
That was really good fun for about a month, and then there was no content. It got to a certain level.
2008. What a year! What a year! 2008.
That was Funcom, and they're the ones that they made Conan Exiles, which is a phenomenal game. It's done so well. And then they've got the people that are making Dune out this year. I don't know when, but that looks off the scale good.
Interesting.
Oh,
right. Anything else from anyone else? Otherwise, I think we will call the podcast there. Silence is golden. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate it, listening and watching. We would love it if you could drop a subscribe and a like if you are consuming this podcast over on YouTube. Any questions or anything, any requests, do drop them in the comments. We really appreciate it. As always, thank you for your time. I am Beef the Legend.
My name's Devastate, and I'll do one quick shout out. We'll be back streaming on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Linnk up. Go and give us a follow on there. You'll get notified when we go live. But yes, playing a lot of EAFC at the moment, and we'll continue to play that. We're going live a couple of times a week. So good communities building up over there. So yeah, come get involved, come and enjoy. But yes, my name's been Devastate. Thank you very much for listening and watching. I'll throw it over to our 2 special guests.
Thank you very much for having me. I've been Vedak, and it's been good. It's been a good chat as always.
And I've been Masanevre. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. Much appreciated.
Good stuff. Catch you later, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.